All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got a really interesting question we're asking right now. Is Andrew Yang going to hit his new fundraising goal? He's always hit all of his goals, except for one recent one, pretty much.
In recent history.
Yeah, in recent history. That's actually been a strength of his. And he's got all kinds of videos going viral, and he's getting really good internet attention. For heaven's sakes, even when he wasn't on the debate stage, he was still like number 3 and 4 trending on Twitter. Okay. So he's been getting all this positive attention, but his fundraising has slowed down, and measurable quantifiers, the money, okay, you always got to follow the money if you want to know the health of a campaign. Not always, but often you follow the money to know the health of a campaign, shows that his fundraising is slowing down. So are these two related? Are they portends of something more? We don't know, but we're going to analyze and see what all of this data could suggest. So Cody, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it, I guess I would say, but it was really stood out to me. So for those of you guys who didn't remember, there was generally speaking, on Andrew Yang's website, yang2020.com, there'll be some kind of fundraising goal. Some are longer, months, weeks, some are shorter. This recent one's only 48 hours. But I noticed the one that ended, I think, the day of the debate, the January debate, that the 5th or 6th of January, ran for a couple weeks, and Andrew Yang came up, I think, a little shy. Honestly, it picked up big time in the last day or so during the debate swing, and he got very close, but he did come up shy there. And then right now he has this on this website. Again, this is a much shorter window. It's 48 hours. But as of recording, this is 12:26 p.m. So when I probably refresh this to 12:24 p.m. So it's basically the one you're looking at. Not even halfway there yet. You know, working back 48 hours from midnight in the 22nd, be the 20th. So it's basically been 2 full days, and then it came very short. It's really weird because normally it almost felt like the number he would set would be kind of irrelevant because the fundraising would just come in and there'd be so much money. So it got me thinking about a couple other things, because it's not like Andrew Yang is going away, right? I mean, and one more thing I want to bring up as well is this is, again, a longer but a week-long goal. But you can see the week-long goal for the deadline coming up in just a few days here, be midnight of the 24th. It's coming about 2 days for calls for Yang doing phone banking. We're seeing, again, falling apparently at the moment very short, which is, I believe this is a little bit less interesting to me to the fundraising, only because this is a little bit more. The fundraising goals are always in the front page all the time. I think this is more of a recent event to do this, and phone banking is a bigger ask than, ironically enough, for most people, it's a much bigger ask for 30 minutes of their time to phone bank than it is for $50. And most people just like, take my money. I don't want to call strangers. I'll just give you my money. But that's one of the reasons why I said to me. But again, as you're pointing out, it's not like
Cody, I don't want to call strangers. I'll just give you my money.
A lot of people feel that way about it.
What's funny though is I actually think I would think the reverse. Like, I don't want to give you my money, but I'll call people.
Yeah, that's me. It goes both ways, right? But the reason why I wanted to talk about these last few things, we'll get into more of the kind of the discussion on this is. I can pull this up. So I'm pulling up the Real Clear polling average first for you guys, and this is the aggregate of polls for everyone running as a Democrat in 2020 for the nomination. And you will see it's a little bit hard to see down here in the small line, but Andrew Yang, according to Real Clear Politics' aggregate, which is not every poll, it's not comprehensive. Yeah. You can see Andrew Yang's this kind of, I don't know, hunter green, forest green line, I guess you could say. I don't know what you would call that in the bottom there. And he had a nice little surge up to almost 4%. And he's kind of hung out around there. You'll notice his polling. Now, I'll show you guys. He's getting plenty polls closer to 6% than 4 and 3. Yeah. Like one, I believe, is this one right here? Here we go. This is a University of New Hampshire and Suffolk University. Oh, no. New Hampshire State poll by Suffolk University and Boston Globe. I apologize. Yeah. Andrew Yang's at 6%. Which obviously is pretty good. Didn't show up in the Real Clear. And then there's one more one I want to show you guys, which is really interesting. This was a Monmouth poll that came out, I think, today, I want to say. Either today or yesterday. And
in the past 24 hours.
Yeah, and it shows that Andrew Yang is the only candidate in the entire field with a net positive favorability rating. So it's one of the reasons why we talk about polls here definitely a little bit more so when the polls are vital for him qualifying for a debate. Because to be honest, one of the things with polls, it's like I can pull 7 polls up and be like, is Andrew Yang polling at 1% or is he the most favorable candidate polling at 6 and rising? I can find data to support both, right? So it's always tough, but there is this conflicting data going out there. And then there's one other data set as well, and that is the fact that Andrew Yang still is remaining a bit of a kind of, one last thing before we move on. I wanted to highlight this one last disparity, and then we'll get into the more fun stuff. I apologize. I promise we'll get into the Twitter videos and the fun stuff, but this line is showing ad spends for TVs, so how many TV ads you're running believe this is both cable and broadcast. So anyway, or cable and terrestrial, whatever they call it. Anyway, you'll notice the gray line here is Andrew Yang. Now, while he definitely is not competing with Tom Steyer and Michael Bloomberg, who are the two massive lines here, he's still keeping up spending on television ads for the most part roughly with everyone else. Maybe a little bit less than Bernie, who'd be the pink line there. But for the most part, he's basically keeping up on that metric.
Okay.
However, he is falling behind in one more, and that is digital spending. This is a tracking of all digital ad spends. We showed this on a video yesterday, but I wanted to highlight, this is from, I believe, the week of, so basically the weeks of November 2nd to January 18th. So early November to now. This is total ad buys on both Facebook and Google. And you'll notice that this is one category where Andrew Yang is kind of hanging neck and neck when it comes to TV ad buys. Again, Michael Bloomberg blows everyone out of the water.
Yeah.
He's spending Joe Biden is one of the front runners, but Joe Biden spends no money anywhere. He barely fundraises, so it's not like the biggest deal to spend him. But it's candidates like Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, and then you get to the funny money candidates, Tom Steyer, Michael Bloomberg, who you'll notice Bloomberg runs off the graph the way I have it cropped on the screen right now.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see that there's definitely some, I don't know if it's a campaign focus, but if the campaign's focusing most of its advertising efforts to TV and away from digital and just kind of treading water when it comes to their TV ad spends compared to others, it's not the greatest sign. So there could be something here to fundraising slowing down more than just the gold missing on the screen.
Do you think there's a natural, not a natural hierarchy, but a natural threshold that has been reached? That maybe everybody that's going to be an early adopter and a big supporter has kind of been tapped into at about the maximum amount that they can be tapped into. Now they'll keep, because they are supporters, keep supporting and keep doing phone banking and keep doing overpass billboarding and all that other stuff that they'll keep on coming on. But now instead of getting more people that are starting to contribute, which leads to curved exponential growth, we've reached a more predictable amount that makes it a little bit more linear. Do you have a sense that that's what the data is saying, or do you think we're not even there yet?
I think Christmas hit people's pocketbooks. So, like the 60 days after Christmas, you probably, taxes are coming up. I think in general, people give less money. So the reason why I'm not saying this is really bad, it's just interesting to note because generally he blows through these goals. And actually, if you notice, the 48-hour $1 million goal, if you were to stretch that across what he generally asks for, it's actually a lot of money. I've seen stuff that's like $1.5 million in a week and a half. It's a aggressive one. It's just
he's had very aggressive goals that he has hit, which has been a very big testament to his success. But anybody that's had to go through weight loss or weight gain knows that you can't be expecting those months where you're going to lose 20 pounds every single month.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Part of it is also the sense of maybe if you were to look at the total amount of money he raised in December 19 and January 2020, when all is said and done, will be impressive. I just think a lot of it will still be front loaded in December because there was such a push for that last quarter goal. I think a little bit of, I don't know if people are tapped out, but I think people are saying normally I would give you like $40 a month, but I just gave you $80 this month instead. So now with January and tax season coming and Christmas over, just the holidays in general, maybe my vacation ended. I want to start saving some money, and I think it's a natural tightening of the purse strings. And again, like you said, he's keeping up when it comes to TV buys, is not spending heavily in digital, at least when it comes to Facebook and Google, which is basically digital. I mean, I would be very surprised if he was pouring a bunch of money into somewhere else besides Facebook.
Well, I got a little data point here actually from our internal poll that was released before we started recording this video. So obviously it's not done yet. It's been out for about I'd say 30 minutes. Anyway, when asked how many times have you donated to Andrew Yang, we have nearly 100 votes here, so decent sample size. 31% are saying 0. Okay, while nearly 40% are saying 4 or more, and the rest is a smattering between 1, 2, and 3, with 2 being the largest. So it looks like, let me see, 38 plus 6. You're looking at 44 plus 13. You know what I'm saying? It's looking like nearly almost 2/3 of people are multiple times donors, with the other third, 31% basically, being 0 donors.
Well, I mean, I hate to be rude here, but yes, they call that whales, and it's basically how everything works with any free-to-play model. Anything where I swear to God, anything where there's a free model for anything. For example, YouTube works a great way. The way everything works is it's not even, I don't know if whale is the best way to say it. I mean, they say like if you look at like the most famous books we all know from like a certain period, they were probably mostly written by a small group of people. Same thing you'll see. Like I said, I use it, whales is kind of denigrating term, but it exists in gambling, but it's big time in like the mobile games, free to play mobile games on your phone. I've watched the TED Talks they give where they tell the developers, look, 10 to 15% of your audience pays for everyone. They're going to spend more money than you would ever think would be reasonable to spend on your product. So you don't have to worry about nickel and diming everyone. Focus on the whales. And that's basically how a lot of people do this stuff. And I think it's an interesting point. Yeah.
Is whales an acronym, or are they just calling them people with bloated funds?
I believe whales, I don't know where it comes from originally, but I heard it mostly used in terms of gambling. You know, for example, they would be used to refer, if I'm wrong, the people that show up that are like, you know, there's like the gamblers who are there every day gambling, and then there's the guys who show up and are willing to lose $100,000 this weekend because they're super rich and they're in Vegas for the weekend. Those are like a whale. Like, oh, they'll just sit here and burn money, man, because to them they're just having fun. Like, same thing. Like, there's the people like this, like you've noticed. There's a solid percentage of people who spend a little bit of money on these things, a little bit to get a thing here and there. I wonder how many people, like, for example, my donations have primarily come through purchasing merchandise, primarily how I've been donating to the campaign. Like, there's people like that, but then you also see the people who are $150 a week for MacBlue. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways of doing it, but generally, yes, the people who donate the most are going to account for the most of your donations. It's one of the reasons why you'll notice that Bernie Sanders does, but not just Bernie. Every campaign does this. They'll tote the amount of small donations they received. Because if I give you $200 a week through $20 increments, it's multiple small donations. Anyway, that was kind of a long aside.
Your data has been augmented because I refreshed even while we're talking, and we got about another 20 votes in, and that number has jumped to about 43%. So
no, I'm telling you, I've literally seen people give lectures on this, and they explain, look, it's the way the people that are going to spend money are going to spend a ton, and the people that aren't going to spend money are going to spend basically none or little. So instead of fighting that, embrace it is basically the notion there. But anyway, I want to show a couple more things here, because again, we're kind of going through what's going on data-wise. Like, I think him making less money a little bit in this quarter, and this month, not that surprising with the holidays and stuff. Missing the goal is interesting because, I don't know, maybe the campaign was a bit ambitious, and maybe they could have reined in the goal. It's hard to rein the goals in without looking like you're receding. It's a tough spot to be in, right? Because here's the funny thing. If you made $850,000, which is $100,000 more than his goal, that sounds a lot better than he made $850,000, which was $1,500 shy of the goal. You know what I mean? But it's the same pool of money. But we see this came out maybe a week ago. Only one Democrat is favored to beat Trump in head-on-head election odds, and it's Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
It's actually the odds. I love it.
This was an absolute indictment of establishment politics right now, by the way.
But also, remember, something with gambling you have to keep in mind. People that gamble a lot, it's one of the things with gambling odds you have to keep in mind. They don't, if it's, for example, Donald Trump versus Bernie's dead even odds. That's kind of a bad bet. Like, you want to take the bet with the better odds. It's like honestly, I would look at this and not bet on Andrew Yang to beat Donald Trump. Here's not as bad, but it's funny. It's one of the things I noticed talking to sports gamblers big time is I'm like, oh, that game looks like a really good game. The line's good. They're like, yeah, but I'll make like no money. Like, yeah, that's why the line's good, because you'll make no money on it. So you'll see the same thing there. But still, it's that. And then there is the one last one I want to go to, which was that I think we have a poll here showing that Andrew Yang would be the only candidate to beat Donald Trump in a head-to-head matchup through polling as well, not just through election odds. I'll grab that one in a second. I apologize. I got all my links tabbed up here because there's a few things I want to go through really quickly here at the end, because we talked about a lot of stuff that's, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting for Yang. It's kind of tough to see where he is. The betting odds is good. These polls, they're tough to read because some are good, some are bad. But there's also a couple other things. And this, I really want to... I've been looking for an excuse to jam this into a video for like a day or two. So I was
about to say, do you want this to be a whole other video, all the viral stuff, or throw it in now?
No, we can do it right away. This is some good stuff, because this is the other end of it, right? Is that Andrew Yang is still being culturally relevant in many ways, and that's really important. And this is awesome. This is, speaking of like the money and the advertising...
I think this defines cultural relevance, actually.
This is from, at Jason from Queens on Twitter. And there's a bunch of other videos. I think I have a few pulled up you could see, but he actually got a giant Yang 2020 digital billboard to run. I believe he said ran 20 times 30 seconds 5 times per 24 hours a day. So very cool. It ran a bunch, and there is some other videos. You can see videos of, and people going about their business downtown in Times Square and seeing the giant 2020 Yang gang. So like I said, I don't want to make it seem like, because Andrew Yang isn't doing as good on his website's internal fundraising goals, that there isn't this fervor for Andrew Yang still, because it's still out there. I mean, do I have this is one particular video. I'll turn the sound on for 1 second so you guys can get a glimpse of this, but
this is cool. Yeah. All right.
So, I mean, this video, a lot of people are talking about on the internet. It's pretty cool. There is, of course, this one, which went really big over the weekend with Andrew Yang at a Sunday service in Iowa, I believe, Angel in the Choir. Now, someone pointed out.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out. They said, why did they let him go up there and wear the, I don't know what they call it.
That's awesome.
He's wearing it like a cape. Look at everyone else wears it. Everyone else wears it like, see, that's how it's supposed to be. He's like the cape on. Anyway, you see people in the front and they have it closed up. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Someone pointed that out. See, they're closed up in front. They're not like just shawling over your shoulders like that. But he's got a suit on. Anyway, this video is 1.6 million
And look, that one
views.
chick, she's on her cell phone. She's checking her email. Oh,
yeah.
That was so epic.
But yeah, you can see,
While
this
she's
is,
grooving, she's checking her text messages.
I think it's 1.6 million views currently.
Look at
on
that
this
right
video.
there, right there in the middle. She's checking her text.
Yeah. Hey, people on their phones, man. And then I think Andrew Yang just posted one more video recently I wanted to show, which really was funny to me.
Oh, that is too hilarious.
There we
man.
go. He just posted this video. This is an awesome video.
Oh, this
I
is
thought.
man points right
Yeah.
here.
Well, I mean,
Boom. Look at that.
I still wonder,
Wow.
even though people should definitely be allowed to do this, I still wonder, why is this like just legal? Like you, I mean,
Dude, on Center Street in Provo, there's this place called Heber Axes. And you can go there on like a date, and it's this straight up axe
I know,
throwing
there's
stuff
bunches-
right on Main Street in my old college
there's
town.
a bunch of these. It's just the liability, man. I just shriek thinking of the liability. Because what happens if some idiot hits that thing flat in the back and it comes back out? I've seen it happen on video, but anyway. I'm not
I don't
gonna
want to
get
hear none of your SJ Dub nonsense.
So here's the thing. I think on my own property, I should be able to throw javelins 100 yards if I want, at a small target. But I just feel like the liability for the business owner. Shudder. Anyway.
Of course, it's probably one of those things, though, honestly, where you'd think the liability would be sky high, but there's a better chance of you actually having a lethal accident in your car driving to the location or walking there. It's like skydiving. Everybody thinks skydiving must be so dangerous and deadly, but you actually have a better chance of dying driving on the way to the skydiving location than you actually do skydiving itself.
But don't they also make you like skydive multiple times with a trained professional so you don't kill yourself?
No, not for tandem. No, you literally, they just strap you to the chest and you just go out with another person.
But isn't the other person typically someone who's done this before so they could teach you and guide you the first few times?
Yeah, okay, there's other examples too, like surfing with a shark attack. You have a better chance of
but hold
actually
on.
having a lethal accident
Walk that-
walking to the water than you do being attacked by a shark.
Okay, yeah, but walk that back. It's because, driving's very dangerous and the bad things happen all over the place.
Look,
Driving is the most dangerous thing everyone
we
does
need
every
more
single
axe
day.
throwing, not less. So we need a positive attitude towards these dangerous activities.
I am all for it. I'm just thinking about what happens when somebody's got an axe lying flat in one of those tables. They turn around, hit it with their hand, it lands on their friend's foot and cuts a big toe off.
Okay,
Who's
personally,
responsible?
I think we actually need more of these candidates to be doing more axe throwing things, because if you can't get that bullseye, I don't think you can be commander-in-chief, leader of the armed forces.
Well, they can't, so.
So, maybe there needs to be more exhibition of stuff like this. Like maybe if you can't clean, polish, lock, load an AR-15 and shoot, within size of a silver dollar, a good solid grouping at 50 yards, maybe you're not qualified to be commander-in-chief.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
Hey, hold on. In the chat, not in the chat, in your comments,
I'm fine with like old.
do you think that's going to be a poll for tomorrow?
I'm fine with like old school.
Should the commander in chief be able to lock and load an AR-15?
I don't think so. It doesn't matter.
Ah, crap. I just said the word, so the Google algorithms are going to hate it. Dang it.
Yeah, whatever. It just doesn't matter. I don't
Okay.
think that's important. I would much rather they just understand how the military works and what they're actually doing right now. And I honestly, the commander-in-chief really just needs to be able to deal predominantly with his own staff. I mean, that's these generals didn't get elected with you. These advisors don't always get elected with you. These people in the Pentagon did not get elected with you. They've been working on this stuff for 15 years, and you just walked into the middle of it. I mean, that's really what you're dealing with. Anyway.
Okay.
That's what I got here. I just wanted to go over this because I thought it was really cool. I've been seeing Andrew Yang's profile online. He's definitely rising to that kind of celebrity status that candidates need to be at. But it's also interesting noting how it seems like with the holidays ending, early part of the year, some fundraising slowing a bit. Anecdotally, I've noticed in general news is slowing a bit with Andrew Yang.
Yes.
But the polls aren't necessarily flatlining. They're still climbing. There's still some good metrics in there. We're at the point, and this happens in everything, right? I think football fans is going to happen for you this weekend where you get to that point where, like, you know what? There's been so much talk about this thing. I'm just ready for it to happen, right? Like, the vote needs to just happen sooner than later because there's so much. The longer you get, the more data there is, the more confusing it gets, the more who is spending, is digital ad spending going to say something about it? Is he spending too much time in Iowa, not enough time in New Hampshire? Like, we can finally start putting a lot of these questions to bed soon because just going through this stuff, it is tricky, man. Like, there's a lot of things that point to Andrew Yang being very popular, very hot, and rising right now. A lot of things to point that he's kind of hit a point where he is. I think part of this as well, keep in mind, is the media cycle being dominated so much by impeachment. It's just there isn't the focus on any of these candidates, really. I mean, when they talk about Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, it's in reference to what Bernie Sanders told Elizabeth Warren or in reference to what Hillary Clinton said about Bernie. It's not really in reference to them running for president. You know what I mean? That's kind of the periphery. It's like, well, it's like Elizabeth Warren calling Bernie Sanders a misogynist and a liar has really not that much to do with either of their platforms for president. You know what I mean? We don't talk about that. We're talking about the drama. Hillary Clinton saying nobody likes Bernie Sanders has nothing to do with Hillary Clinton's failed run or Bernie Sanders getting the election stolen and his new, maybe failed run coming up. Like, none of these have anything to do with each other, but that's what the media is focused on. And it makes it tough because most people get their news from the media, surprisingly. And when the people giving you the news only want to talk about the same stories over and over and over again, or things that are unrelated, like petty personal drama. Like, I think it's kind of humorous that Hillary Clinton came out with the Mean Girls. Nobody even likes Bernie. But it's also like, it shouldn't be something that's beneath where we're at in the cycle. Go back 7 months. Okay, whatever. We are voting in 3 weeks. Like, what? I don't know. I don't want to get too pumped up about this, but I just think it's really, it is time to finally get to seeing the actual numbers come in, because this whole primary season's been crazy. And remember, by the way, when those first the early state numbers come in, Michael Bloomberg hasn't joined the race yet. Michael Bloomberg joins the race on Super Tuesday. So there's still going to be some more wacky nonsense, but I'm definitely ready to see what we actually have in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Super Tuesday is going to be absolutely nuts, because that's the first time we will actually have voted in a presidential election on Super Tuesday, and as a state, and we are recording here in California. But also, man, you remember that fight in the Octagon? What was it, 3 days ago that lasted 40 seconds? I got a text message from my father-in-law that said, wow, that was a lot of money lost in just 40 seconds, right? You know, if you think of all the worldwide betting that just happened in less than a minute, that is going to be a lot of money lost or worth it in one day for Michael Bloomberg. He's either going to go back to his office when the polls close on Super Tuesday and say, crap, that was a lot of money lost for one day, or else he'll be on cloud nine thinking that it was all worth it and be, 2 steps closer to having purchased the presidency.
What are the tax implications? That's what I want to know. When Michael Bloomberg goes to pay his taxes in 2021, is he going to say, hey, look, I lost all this money running for president. How dare you tax me at this rate? I just lost X amount of hundreds of millions.
Yeah, but political donations aren't tax deductible, so I would be far...
He isn't donating to anyone. No one's donating to him.
No, I know, but
He's
I'm saying
just buying things.
It would be a stretch for me to believe that political donations could count as a tax deduction on personal income.
No, what I'm saying is he didn't get any donations. He literally bought stuff. When you go to a company and buy their TV airtime,
yeah, but
he invested.
That would be from a 527 account that was set up specifically for the. So I don't think there.
All
could
I'm
be
saying is,
but we'll find out. That's a good question.
I don't buy that Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer are willing to basically burn hundreds of millions of dollars for maybe no reason. Like
it's because you're not rich. And
I
you
guarantee
can't do it.
you, on the other side of it, there'll be these people rich too. You think they're just gonna want to lose money for no reason? I guarantee on the other side. I'm not saying he's running to rig his taxes. I guarantee you, if a rich guy loses a whole bunch of money in a short period of time, they have plans for how to mitigate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Opine. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1. Cody does a lot of his announcements there. Make sure you participate in our polls. We released a couple, and we're trying to do it actually daily, especially when, I shouldn't say we're trying to do it daily. Oftentimes we end up doing it daily to help glean data and figure out what you guys are thinking, what the heartbeat of the Yang Gang is, or the heartbeat of the PSP Army is. So please let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Share this video with your friends. Follow us on Twitter, and make sure, if you can, join. Joining is a really great way that you can support our channel and also get members only content. So if you can, join. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.